laughs when Treyarch creates transit.
Ain't that swell?
Hey, what's up soldiers? My name is GregFPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire, and today we're going to be taking a look at the history of the MP40 in Call of Duty Zombies. Now in this video, we're only going to be taking a look at Treyarch, but throughout Treyarch, we saw this weapon in World at War all the way up until Black Ops 4, and it was featured in every single game. So we're going to be taking a look at each of the different versions in each game, and also the futuristic version in Black Ops 3, which was called the HG40. I'm going to talk about each one starting with World at War, and then I'm going to let you guys know which one is my personal favorite. But what I want you guys to do while you're watching this video is let me know which one you think is the best down below in the comment section. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Alright guys, starting off in World at War, the MP40 was by far considered the most overpowered multiplayer weapon in World at War. That, however, didn't really transfer over to Zombies. In Zombies, it was the best point weapon besides probably the PPSH. It wasn't the best weapon because the PPSH and MG42 by far were the more desired weapons and outshine this weapon completely, but you could buy the MP40 off the wall for only 1,000 points on Varrock, Shinonuma, and Darius, and then you could get it from the box on Noct. Now overall, this weapon is definitely a great weapon in Zombies as well. For the limited amount of recoil that it did have, just like in multiplayer, I found to be locking onto zombies' heads very easily, and it literally didn't have any recoil to really put me off the path if I just want to fire the entire clip continuously into a horde. Now this weapon was also fairly decent at taking out the dogs on dog rounds on Darius. Now, you only have 192 rounds and then 32 rounds in a magazine, so you don't have the most ammo, and I found myself buying more and more ammo as time went on just to be able to open up Darius and then eventually pack a puncher for 5,000 points. Now, when you pack a punch it becomes the afterburner, and you have 192 rounds in reserve just like the normal version, but this time you have 64 rounds per magazine or your clip, which made it a lot more efficient, I would say. And the damage points went up double exactly the damage points of the original MP40. Now it was called the Afterburner, and we're going to see that name continue all throughout Zombies, and I will explain more when we get to Black Ops 3 because they totally shit on this weapon, to be honest. But overall, I find the Afterburner in World at War to be very, very effective, and it was definitely a great gun on the earlier rounds to open up the map and get you a lot of points. So now let's go on to Black Ops 1. In Black Ops 1, you can buy the MP40 off the wall on Kino or on Call of the Dead. It was going to be the same price of 1,000 points. You could get it in the back of the ship on Call of the Dead, or you could get it in the Speed Cola room on Kino. And I would wager that Kino is the most played Zombies map of all time when it comes to Call of Duty Zombies, because so many people had Black Ops 1 back in the day. And I remember buying the MP40 off the wall every single time I played back in the day in Black Ops 1, and I still even do it to this day if I'm playing Zombies for fun on Black Ops 1, or if I'm just going to be playing Kino randomly. I pretty much always go with the MP40, at least on the early rounds, because it's so good for getting points and buying perks and things like that. Now the MP40 was definitely not the same as World at War because it had a lot more recoil and it just wasn't as good damage wise, at least it seemed that way. And also it just had the exact same amount of ammo as World at War, which still made it an undesirable weapon to pack a punch. It kept the same name, the Afterburner, but it just wasn't as good, and it didn't even kill dogs effectively, although you could kill them with the MP40, and I'm usually using that weapon to kill the dogs, at least on the first dog round. It still seemed a little bit weak, and I felt uneasy when using it on dog rounds if I didn't have Jug yet. So overall, the MP40 is fairly decent in Black Ops 1, but I would still say that the World at War version had a slight edge over the Black Ops 1 version of the MP40. On Black Ops 2, we only had the MP40 on one map, and that was Origins. You could buy it off the wall for 1,300 points, and it was located in 3 different areas. The Gen 2 area, where the ice disc is, you could also buy it in the beginning of excavation, like right when you get out of the bunker or the workshop, and you could also buy it next to Gen 4 when you're filling up the boxes. Now overall, since there's so many wall buys on Black Ops 2 Origins, it made perfect sense to use this weapon, and I always found myself buying it, especially on the earlier rounds before I got a staff to fill boxes or to kill a lot of zombies and get a lot of points, because just like before, it had a great amount of point building potential. It was by far one of the best weapons in Origins overall, but you would find yourself using other weapons like the Boomhilda, the Ray Gun Mark II, the Scar, any really other gun, to be honest, because you really didn't want to stick with this weapon if you're going to be playing a lot of rounds on that map. Now the Afterburner did have a slight edge when it came to ammo when you pack punch this weapon, because it had 256 in reserve and it still had 64 per magazine, so you got basically an extra magazine, which was definitely nice on Origins, because obviously you have the Panzer, which is going to play a huge problem on Origins. Now, the Afterburner on Black Ops 2 Origins was actually fairly decent for killing the Panzer. I found myself training and killing the Panzer fairly easy when I pack-a-punched it. When you have the unpacked version though, it does take a lot longer, obviously. So I found myself using Claymores in this game that I was playing, and overall I really love how the camo looks on the MP40. That blue icy camo from Origins just looks so good and pretty much makes every single weapon look amazing. So that's why I really like the Black Ops 2 version of the MP40. I would say that it's a little bit better than the Black Ops 1 version, and it's about the same for the World at War version. It's not really any much better, but since you have more ammo, I'm going to give it a slight edge over World at War and say that right now, in my opinion, the Black Ops 2 version is the best MP40. Now it's time for Black Ops 3. The first time we saw the MP40 was from the box on Gorod Krovi as the HG40, which is essentially a futuristic version of the MP40 ammo. In Black Ops 3, there are two different versions of the MP40. The first one is the HG40, which is a futuristic version of the MP40 that is featured in Gorod Krovi, and you can get it from the box. Now, this was a DLC weapon in Black Ops 3, and that's why you can only get it from the box on Gorod. Now, overall, this weapon has a lot more ammo in reserve, 448 when pack-a-punched, making it a very good option once pack-a-punched as well. Now, this weapon is named the Afterburner 2.0. It doesn't have a "the" in the name, which is kind of lame in my opinion that they took the "the" out, but it's still a fairly decent weapon, just a futuristic version of the MP40, and definitely the worst out of all of them that we've talked about. And last but not least, we have the regular MP40 from Black Ops 3 that you can get in Zombies Chronicles. Now, the MP40 on Chronicles was on all of the World at War remastered maps as well as Kino, and it was definitely a highly sought after weapon because once again it was great for getting points. Now, originally in the Speed Cola room on Kino, they did have the Kuda, but they later brought the MP40 into Chronicles, which was a very nice addition, as well as bringing it into multiplayer so that you could use this weapon. And once again, it was definitely great for getting points, but it had the exact same ammo as the MP40 that was on Origins. Just like the HG40, the Pack-a-Punch version was just called Afterburner as opposed to the Afterburner, which was kind of lame. Obviously, the HG40 being the Afterburner 2.0 without the. And overall, I think that the MP40 in Black Ops 3 was fairly decent, but I wouldn't say it was better than the Black Ops 2 version. It just seemed a little bit more weak, and since it didn't have a lot of ammo, which you'd think it would have had, I definitely discount it, and I would say that the Black Ops 2 version is still the best that we've gone over so far. In Black Ops 4, the MP40 is definitely a very effective weapon. Having a ridiculous amount of ammo was a very nice touch to have when you receive it from the box. It has 382 in reserve and 32 per magazine, just like all the other versions of the MP40 as the base weapon. Now, when you Pack-a-Punch it, it has 448 ammo and 64 in a magazine as well, making it pretty much exactly the same besides the ridiculous amount of ammo it had in reserve for the packed and non-packed versions of this weapon. Now, overall, I would say that this weapon is definitely very strong in Black Ops 4, and it seems to be the most effective on later rounds because in normal on Black Ops 4 zombies, the level cap is about round 50, and then the zombies stay the same as long as you go, which is definitely a huge downside to high rounds in Black Ops 4. Now, overall, I would say that the MP40 in Black Ops 4 has a slight edge over the Black Ops 2 version, but it doesn't mean that the Black Ops 2 version isn't my absolute favorite. I think that it definitely is, and it's the most used in Black Ops 1 with the Kino version. So overall, I would like to know, once again, what is your favorite version of the MP40 down below in the comment section. Like I said, my personal favorite is the Black Ops 2 version, and let me know if you guys would like to see other versions of this video. I can go through the Tommy gun, I can go through the Galil, a bunch of different weapons we have seen over the course of Call of Duty Zombies. My name is GregFPS, the Zombies Extraordinaire, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.